everybody, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel. Um, I'm here to do my weekly wrap-up, and it's a big one. First, I've read The Kitchen Witch by Annette Blair, and it's a trilogy. This one is about, it's about three friends. Melody, who's in this book, Kira, who's in the next book, and Vicky, who's in the last book. Melody is looking for a job, and her new next-door neighbor works at the TV station, and he needs a babysitter. So she says, come back with a job and I'll babysit your son. And so she finds out that there's a new TV cook host wanted. So she takes it, and she can't cook. So yeah, it's cute. So she calls herself the Kitchen Witch, and it's a contemporary romance with a little bit of paranormal aspect to it. Sorry, I had to grab another book. Then I went on to read My Favorite Witch, which is book 2 in the Accidental Witch trilogy, by Annette Blair. And this one is Kira's story. And I don't want to get too much into it, but their personal lives kind of carry, but yet they don't. This one is, Kira is kind of jilted. Not at the altar, but she walks in on her fiancé with her sister. And so she takes over not wedding planning. She works for this foundation that does like an adoption house, and she's trying to do auctions to raise money for this foundation. And the woman she works for has a grandson, and he's an NHLer who's been injured, and he comes to work for them as well for 6 months. He gives his grandmother 6 months while he recuperates, and things go from there. Then I read Crank by Ellen Hopkins. It's based on a true story of her daughter who gets hooked on crank. I think she's 16 or 17, and she goes to visit her dad in, I can't even remember if it's Las Vegas. Anyways, so she goes to visit her dad. She meets a guy, the neighbor. She kind of decides to hang out with him, and then he gets her hooked on crack. She moves back home after the 3-week vacation with her dad, who, by the way, is pretty much a deadbeat dad. And yeah, her world just spirals. I haven't even said what I gave all these books are. The 2 witch books I gave 4. This I gave a 5. Yeah. Then I read Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. I really did like his The Invention of Hugo Cabret book. I love his pictures. Oh, I guess my daughter got that far. But they are just beautiful. And this one's about a boy named Ben. His story is the written one, the writing parts, and then there's Rose, whose story gets told in pictures. And it's 50 years apart. Ben just loses his mother and is living with his aunt and his cousins, and he's deaf in one ear. And then he gets struck by lightning while he's holding the phone, and he goes deaf in the other ear. And then he finds out about his dad and tries to go and find his dad because he didn't know anything about his dad. And then Rose, who is 50 years in the past, you find out a couple of things about her, and then at the end of the book, how they're intertwined and how their stories mesh. I believe I gave this a 5. It was a beautiful book. I read it in like 2 hours, but very, very beautiful book. I actually had a pretty good reading week. Then I went on to read The Scot, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by Annette Blair, and it's book 4. I don't know if I can. No. book 4 in the Accidental Witch trilogy, and this is Vicky's story. And I think, Vicky's story. And her grandmother has passed away. She owns a vintage clothing shop. And there's this wardrobe, and everybody in her family cannot open this wardrobe. It's magically sealed. And so her friends, Melody and Kira, tell her, open the wardrobe, at least try it. And sure enough, it opens. And there's a unicorn in it, a carousel unicorn. And so she goes on like an Antiques Roadshow show, and it's a very well-known sculptor's unicorn. And a man in Scotland sees it. And his family owns the carousels that the well-known man is known for. But he's missing a carousel, a unicorn. So he goes to Salem, where these take place, and to find the unicorn and to say hello to Vicky. Yeah, I thought those were cute. I give it a 4 as well. There's not anything that was lacking from them. They're just fun, cute, nice reads. This one, however, this one's weird. I just stumbled upon this one while I was at the library one day, and I decided to pick it up. And it's called Black Hole by Charles Burns, and it's a graphic novel, and it's really heavy. I'll try and find a page that's not too nasty naughty, but this is the graphic style. It's about sex, drugs, and STDs in the 70s in Seattle. This is an STD that actually changes you physically, and it comes out within a week of having sex with a partner who has it. And I'll show you like the inside. There's like yearbook pictures, and then on the back are their just really weird physical attributes. You can grow extra parts, you can have boils, you can have rashes, you can lose your hair. But there's not really a plot. Well, there is, but there's not. The ending kind of leaves you just hanging. It doesn't really give you closure at all. It follows a couple of people. Chris is a girl, and Keith is the guy. They go to school together, but they don't interact a whole lot in the book. It's kind of Keith's story and Chris's story. But it kind of jumps around, and I ended up giving it a 2. Just because it's drugs, sex, and STDs. That's pretty much it. And there's just nothing great about it. So, currently reading. I'm only reading one currently, and that is the buddy read that we're doing. Sorry, the buddy reading that we're doing, or that Jen is hosting from Reading with Pugs, and Elisa from Paper Bits, and Alana from Alana Reads, and I are all reading The Book That Matters Most by Anne Hood. I'm really liking it. The characters in it aren't that great. It follows a mother and her daughter. They're separate stories. And Ava is the mother. And a year ago, her husband has left her for another woman who likes to yarn bomb. In case you don't know what that is, yarn bombing is when you knit or crochet something and then you put it on like trees or poles or marquees, stuff like that. And yes, it is a real thing. And then it goes, and Ava really wants to get into this book club that her friend is in, and they finally have an opening because they only allow 10 people at a time. So they have an opening in it, and they have 10 books that they read throughout the year. 2 months, 1 month they take off. The other month they get the list of 10 books. So there's 10 months that they read books. And yeah, the first 2 books that she reads, she actually just watches the videos for. But then she starts getting into the books, which is, great. And then her daughter Maggie is pretty much a drug addicted liar, who's supposed to be in school in Italy. Instead, she's in Paris getting high. It really is a good book so far. I'm enjoying it, and I think on Tuesday, Elisa will be doing a video. Thursday, Alana will be doing a video, and I will be doing the final video on Saturday for the wrap-up of this book. So yeah, if you want to join in, you can by all means join in. I'll leave all their links below, so you can go and watch their videos about it. And yeah, so that's what I'm currently reading. Now, what I want to read this week, these are just a couple books, but 2 or 3 of them I'll get really through quickly. 2 books I didn't get to on the weekend, because I ended up doing a couple other things, is Glass and Fallout by Ellen Hopkins, and they are the next, or the other 2 books in the Crank series by Ellen Hopkins. And it's just a continuation of Christina's story. So I'm not going to say too much about them, because I know this one, even if I just said names, it would spoil it. So yeah, I'm going to start with those ones. Then I'm going to get onto More Than This by Patrick Ness. I don't think I've read anything by him. I haven't read the Chaos Walking trilogy yet. I just know that this one's about a boy named Seth who dies. He knows he's dead, but yet he's alive. That's all I'm gonna think about on that one. And then finally, I'm going to be reading this because if I like this, I really do want to pick up the sequel if I can. And it's Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And all I know about this one is the 2 characters that are in it have broken up, and yet there's a major apocalypse or war in space, and it's all told by case files and different types of, if I could find one, different formats, pictures. Yeah, so I'm hoping to pick that one up. And that is my wrap-up. Let me know if you've read any of these, or if you've joined in on the read-along that we're having. And I think that's it for the week. Yeah, so I hope everybody has an awesome week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you're reading this week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.